You are a man who has really sought to understand Black men and the way they think. Tell us what you've learned, because you say, they're crazy. You've got a comment before you get to that
Black
question.
people in general.
Black people in
yeah,
general.
with kind of a focus on Black men.
Okay.
Because that's where the problems are most severe.
Gotcha.
I guess that one of the things that I've learned that is fairly distinct about the work is that we still carry many of the scars from the years of oppression and captivity here in America. Now, if there's something that distinguishes our psychology from the psychology in general, the way that we understand how other people function, is that we are still dealing with those struggles, with those scars, with that captivity, with that experiences of having been America's slaves. Unlike many other people, everybody else who came, we still don't like ourselves. We don't like our communities. We don't see our own capabilities. We don't work for ourselves. We tear each other down. We like to divide and conquer. Our groups somehow spend all of our times trying not to be ourselves. We want to look good, but we don't want to do good. We still put much more worth and attention, as I mentioned earlier, in our capacity to entertain people than we do to inform people. We have much more respect for Black entertainers and Black athletes than we have for Black thinkers.
And let's talk about some of those struggles, because I think as we begin to understand as a people what we are struggling with, then maybe we can begin to break down some of the barriers and begin to try to clear those hurdles in our lives.
Yeah, one of the worst ones is the disrespect for who we are. I bet whereas people are able to operate in their own self-interest when they know and appreciate who they are. One of the things that slavery robbed us of was the ability to understand who it is that we were. We therefore have always had to look to other people as images of our possibility, as role models, and did not believe that somehow to be a Black bald-headed man or to be a Black nappy-headed woman could be dignified, could be beautiful, could be intelligent, that there was genius in who we were. Not that we were better than any other human beings, but we didn't even realize that we were just as good as any other human beings on this planet. And struggling with that self-esteem, struggling with that issue of simply learning to love ourselves as being comparable to any other human beings on the planet is one of the biggest psychological problems that we've had to deal with. We still do not think of ourselves as being geniuses. We think we could be good entertainers or outstanding athletes, but we don't believe that we could be thinkers. We don't believe we could be philosophers. We don't believe we can be great healers. We don't understand those aspects.
I don't want to be 50 years old at a BET We Shall Overcome Achievement Awards. You know what I'm saying? Not me. You know, I want when they see me, they know that every day when I'm breathing, it's for us to go farther. You know, every time I speak, I want the truth to come out. You know what I'm saying? Every time I speak, I want to shiver.
The problem is that it's extremely difficult to correct a problem if you don't understand the source of the problem. We have to somehow recreate our mythology. We have to recreate our fairy tales. We have to recreate our images. We have to recreate our symbols so that we can represent us at our best. It's going to have to take generations of people who begin to struggle with this. And I continuously emphasize that this didn't start yesterday. People have talked about this for many, many generations and have encouraged us to try to rebuild our concept of who we are, because that information has to begin to be passed along so that we can come up with someone who will own a television station, or who will own a movie studio, who will own a publishing company and will give it the marketing backing that will somehow be able to celebrate us at our best.
Yeah, I saw you say that Black Panther is a cultural moment. I think your exact quote was, "We're not remembering breaking the color barrier or how funk was created, but we are living this." Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, this is, you know, I hesitated to say this before we got here because we didn't know whether we had a good movie. We didn't know how people were going to respond to it. But just seeing how people have bought out theaters, you know, before they've ever seen it. They haven't even seen it. Yes, you've seen it.
Saw it last night.
Yeah. They haven't even seen what the movie is. That's historic.
Yeah.
You know, this is history being created. In those other movies I was doing, you know, we were remembering the past.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were looking back at history. This is you know, a very, very present moment that takes us into what could be a different future.
You know who you are. If you know the greatness from which you've come, then that then can begin to give you the keys to begin to rebuild what you can be.
At some point, you gotta decide for yourself who you're gonna be. Can't let nobody make that decision for you.
If you don't love yourself, nobody else loves you. And nobody has to do anything to us. A lot of people died, a lot of people struggle, a lot of people continue to deal with day-to-day issues of understanding that we've got to break these psychological chains of slavery. We've got to understand who we are. We've got to understand what we can do, what we have done, to be able to have the audacity to hope and to dream and to build. All those kinds of things don't happen magically. It's not a cosmetic thing. It doesn't matter what face is there. But you've got to be able to love yourself, respect yourself, know yourself, and build yourself, and nobody can do it for you. No one can give you a welfare check into acceptability. You have got to earn that by taking on the responsibility to somehow change yourself and change the world that you're living in.
Ain't that what we're supposed to do? I'm not saying I'm going to rule the world or I'm going to change the world, but I guarantee that I will spark the brain that will change the world. And that's our job, is to spark somebody else watching us. We might not be the ones, but let's not be selfish, and because we're not going to change the world, let's not talk about how we should change it. I don't know how to change it, but I know if I keep talking about how dirty it is out here, somebody's going to clean it up.